Hey, Nagorski.
Looks like a few of us.
I see Jim said he had to sign up for this session. Do we have to sign up or can we just be here?
I don't know. I didn't sign up. I just clicked on the button to
Right.
get into this.
Okay, that's what I did too.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us here today. There is a question on the screen, and as you get settled, it looks like you're all following the prompt like real good students today. I'm just kind of scanning the chat as it goes by fairly quick, but I know a lot of people are doing breakfast right now, whether it's eggs and toast from Big Lake Middle School or whether it's waffles. Somebody had a big donut. Amy, nice work from Sauk Rapids. Love it. Madamidai, thanks for joining. Delicious oatmeal. Katrina is coming in with Coke, Diet Coke right away in the morning, first thing. Tammy, I'm with you, coffee. Love it. Burger King, Brad, nice work. Gail, good choice. OJ and banana.
I have a question.
Hey, I have an answer. We'll do our best to answer it.
Yeah, I got on this meeting because I want to watch it, but I also have an 8 o'clock staff meeting, Zoom. And so I'm kind of logging in here thinking I could, as soon as our meeting gets over at 8:30, jump back into this one.
Yeah, you should totally skip that other meeting.
Yeah, I don't know if my principal will go for that.
No, I get it. Remember, they're all going to be recorded. So
I know, but okay. So anyway, I may have to zoom out, but I just thought maybe I just don't know about the voice thing, if I'm going to have to hear you and not hear her.
Yeah, if you're multitasking, we'll just request that you mute and you can just kind of passively listen. Understandable. We all do it sort of every day a little bit, right?
Right. Alrighty.
Cool,
So
thank you.
Thanks. Otherwise, I'll have to come back and view it later.
Hey, another idea is that you might follow the YouTube stream. This is being simulcast on YouTube Live. You'll find the link on the page. So you could kind of follow it there while you're in your other Zoom meeting.
Thanks for joining, everybody. There is a question on the screen. You can continue to chime in with where you're from, just quick virtual intros. We're going to kick it off right at the top of the hour, but feel free to chime in with what you're having for breakfast. I've managed to become a sourdough baker over this whole thing that's been going on. So I had some sourdough toast and coffee. There you go. Got the cereal crew chiming in, love it. Nutri-Grain bars, delicious. Veggie scramble, Heather, coming over after this. Allison with, looks like a nice balance. Oh, this is the most Minnesota thing I've seen all day. Rhonda, hot dish reheated. I love it. Douglas, there's always hope. You can always, push pause and run, and you'll miss like some intro slides, but you'll be happy in your belly. So that's maybe a decision you could choose to run with. Oh, Christy, nice work. I won't say it out loud. I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but you're thinking. Intermittent fasting is happening. Love it. Hey, everybody, we're going to kick it off in 1 minute. I'm managing like 12 screens. So if somebody could just put a little message into the chat, like one of the organizers letting me know how many people are in here, that would be helpful. That kind of will help me scale some of the things I might say in a little bit. But welcome. We're going to kick it off at the top of the hour. It is going to go really fast, but the goal here is to give you practical things that you can run with. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Katrina. We have 205 and growing. Continue to introduce yourself, say hi. I don't know if there is any official formal words of introduction coming from anyone else. If so, you can feel free to chime in. Otherwise, what I will do is welcome you to the Minnesota Distance Learning Summit, and then I will just pause and see if anyone else wants to chime in, any organizers or any words of wisdom. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll just get going in a second. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for being here today. There are some links that are going into the chat. Katrina's going to continue to post my resources. They're also listed on my page. I will post them. Let's see, I got to figure this out. I'm going to send this to everyone. I'm just going to post a link there, and Katrina will continue to surface that. So if you look for Katrina's name, she's officially moderating today and will be posting things. It's great to see you all like in front of your virtual backdrops, in front of your real backdrops. And I just want to welcome you all to the Minnesota Distance Learning Summit. We're going to kick it off right now, and I know it's going to go relatively quick. I can see like a few people. I will be monitoring the chat, but what I think has worked well in the past for these types of sessions, especially ones with over 200 people, is I'm just really going to sort of kind of keep things moving and keep the pace going. I understand that in this distance learning environment, sometimes you duck in and sometimes you duck out. And what you can always remember is that you can play, pause, and rewind after the fact. So please remember that if something went quick, you can circle back. We'll try to save a little bit of time at the end for questions. Otherwise, we have some breakout rooms, and we'll kind of share what that process is like at the end. Maybe if one of the organizers can kind of chime in and share how that'll happen at the very end, that will be really great. Otherwise, I'm going to jump right in here. Today, we're going to do 5 fun relationship building, community building, culture building activities for distance learning. And we'll kind of get into this, but ultimately what it comes down to for me is we have to try more than ever to like build that community. And so this session is 5 practical things that you can do next week with your students or with staff, depending on your role, just as a way of continuing to build that. My name is Ben Friesen. I am with EdTech team. I actually am Minnesota native. I live in Minneapolis and I spent 10 years in the Hopkins School District. So now I work with EdTech team. I'm a mentor for instructional coaches and work with schools all over the country. But when this event came up, had to be a part of it, and fortunate, and it's an honor to be able to kick it off today at 8 a.m. on a Friday and to see so many of you. So thank you. You can connect with me on Twitter at Benjamin Friesen. Also, other hashtags I follow are DLP Coaching and EdTech Team. So check out some of those and share your learning on the interwebs while we do this. We just hit 330, so things are going well. So hey there, Minnesota. I also want to just say, I understand I'm talking to like 330 of you right now, but then there's also the future yous and the people that are watching this later. So if you're catching up with this not on Friday at 8 a.m., just want to welcome you. Thanks for chiming in for the learning. There's going to be just a lot of fantastic sessions that you can learn from. Practice your tabs, keeping your audio muted. I like to see cameras. I'm not looking at everybody's screen, but there will be some opportunities to do some interaction, and our camera is required for at least one of them. What I am going to say is if your cameras are off, I'm just assuming that you're participating and you're absorbing it all and you're taking notes and you're planning to do this with all of your students as well. But it would be fun to have a couple of people live participate. So play along with the examples and just remember you'll get all the resources at the end. So you don't have to say, where are the resources and stress out about that, because we'll make sure you get them for you. The other thing is I'm going to just be walking through the slides. So I am sharing my screen so you can play with all your Zoom features to see everything. And know that I also have the slides to you so you can walk through them as well. All right. Ultimately, at this point in time, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but Maslow is more important than Bloom's right now. Having that connection with your students is like super critical right now. And I know that when this whole thing started, when COVID launched, like all of a sudden there was all of this tool talk. And what rapidly followed after that was like all of the conversations about like what we ought to be doing with our kids, creating that community. Like you're that bright spot in their day, like all day, and it's a social environment and kids are really missing out on that, and we really have to try hard to do that. And so a lot of what I'm going to do today is meant to be synchronous. Like let's use our synchronous time with our students where we're live with them together. Let's do that to build community, and not necessarily I'm going to advocate that we don't use that for like direct instruction. Let's use that to continue those relationship building. So today we're going to do 5 activities, and I know I'm going to have to hit the ground running here to make sure that we get through them all, but remember there is a deck that has all of them after the fact as well. I mentioned earlier that I am in a role of I am a mentor for instructional coaches. And one of the things that our framework, our protocols have us do is really focus on like, what is a challenge that teachers are having right now? And then let's look at innovative ways and strategies and tools to meet or break that, to conquer that challenge. And so the challenge that we're all having are what are ways I can check in with students and maintain relationships. So today, here are 5 little fun activities for you all today. I will let you know that if you have even a pencil and a piece of paper, you're going to be in like a really good position. If you have crayons or markers, you're going to be able to take it to the next level. And so if you can scavenge around your desk and find some highlighters or a pencil or something, and at the very least, like a Post-it note, you'll be able to fully participate in our activities, okay? All right. The 2 things that we're going to do today is we're going to do some what I'm calling analog activities, like things that are like cameras, human interaction. And then the other thing that we're going to do today is we'll end with just like a Flipgrid example to just show that a lot of the things that we're going to do today on paper or in an analog way are also can totally be adapted and used in a like a site like Flipgrid, a tool like for Flipgrid. So those are that's our outline of the day. So we're going to jump in with an analog activity right off the bat. All right, audience participation. I don't see everybody's camera, but I'm kind of on my home screen here, and I'm gonna just maybe ask for some volunteers. Here's what you are gonna do. You're gonna write your name, wrong paper. You're gonna write your name on your piece of paper. Hi, everybody, I'm Ben Friesen. And then what I would love for you to do is to pick 3 numbers of significance and put them on the bottom. So we could be a little bit more deliberate about this. Fold your paper like a hot dog. On the top of your paper, you can put your name, and on the bottom of your paper, you can write 3 numbers of significance. Now, no passwords, social security numbers, bank pins. Hold those off, might just be a good reminder. And what I'm gonna do is, if you wanna participate, and then Katrina, do you give me a thumbs up can you unmute somebody? Okay, cool. If you want to participate, what I'm gonna have you do is here's our little protocol. I'll model it in a second, but I'll model it first, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask for at least 1 or 2 volunteers to also share. And then if you want to participate, you'll hold your sign up, and then what we'll do is that'll be a way of calling on you, and then we'll have Katrina help me try to unmute one person to talk and share one thing. So let me just say this. Let's do a little audience participation in the chat. Which of these numbers, and I'll just kind of look for a consensus, this is unscientific, which one of these numbers are you most curious about me? I'm going to watch the chat and see which one has Oh, this is very unscientific. This would have been a really good chance, opportunity for a poll, everybody. Okay, I do see a lot of 08 seeming to take over the chat. I'm not going to say the 612 or the 85, but the 08. I'll just say that for me, that year for me is really important. It's the trifecta. It is the year my son was born. It is the year of Obama was elected, and it was the year that the Kansas Jayhawks won the national championship. So pivotal year in my life. So that's a little bit about me. And I see Adam is just chomping at the bit here. He's got his numbers up there. Adam, would you be willing to share? And Katrina's going to try to figure out how to unmute you.
Oh boy, thanks a lot. All right, so
Adam, just a reminder: choose one that that you'd like to share about, and then you're going to save the other 2.
okay. Well, 4:30, because it's my mom died a year ago yesterday, so it's kind of like still, it's kind of heavy on my mind today.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry to be a bummer, but
that's okay, Adam. Well, sorry about your mother. I hope I know there's a lot going on, but hopefully you're having those positive reflections and those good stories are starting to also flow back in. So Adam, thanks for sharing. Where are you from, Adam?
sure. Roseville.
Roseville, awesome, thank you. Anyone else want to volunteer by holding up your sign? Julia, I can see your name really clear. Would you be so kind, Julia? Hold on, Julia. We're going to have to get you.
Okay.
Oh, you're live. Thanks, Julia.
I'm going to share number 3. And that's
Nice.
That's how many kids I have.
Awesome. Can you give us like a quick recap of their ages?
18, 15, and 12.
15, 12. Awesome. Let's do one more. This is, we'll do one more. Is it Tina? Trina. Nice. Trina gives me the thumbs up. Okay, Trina. I'll wait for Katrina to unmute you.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can, Trina.
Okay,
You're on.
my first one is 38122, and that is the zip code for Memphis. And I just moved back almost a year ago back to Minnesota, and I taught in Memphis for 3 years.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Trina. And where are you at now in Minnesota?
I'm in Hutchinson.
Awesome. All right, so thank you so much, Katrina, for the assist. What I love about this activity is basically it's a great way to really dig into things. So you may know all the people, you may know all your kids by now, all your students, you probably know all their dogs and who's getting a dog and how many have pets, and you know, you're getting tours of their houses now, things that you never expected. But now this is just a really fun activity, a way to start a meeting. Honestly, we could probably spend a couple of hours going through everyone's number here and learning more about it. So it might be one of those classic teacher moments where you say, and who's tomorrow, you know, and you kind of space it out. So it's a great way to connect. And I just want to thank you all for sharing. What you've also done here without knowing is you've also prepped your activity that you can do later. So I'm going to end with this as being like, this would work really well on Flipgrid, for example. And so we'll kind of end with that as an example, just so that you can see that. So I love the face-to-face. All we need is a pencil. We need a piece of paper, and we're off and running. Okay, so let me give you a little background on this. Window management, everybody. This is actually a game that an activity, an icebreaker, a community builder from a site called playmeo.com. And maybe Katrina will post that in, or somebody else can do it, so you have a nice hyperlink to it. But Playmeo is a really awesome site. I've gone to a couple of their webinars, and they just have like a really great database of different activities, and a lot of them can be like customized to be used in a digital distance type of environment. So check that out if you're interested. I come from like sort of an experiential adventure ed, environmental ed background, and these were all those types of activities that you do to like build community and connection, and kind of really reiterating my point here that we should be really focusing on building community and connection before we worry about the content, you know, like, so that's a great site to go explore, Playmeo. Every one of those activities has like a really nice little overview. It talks about like how to use it. It gives you like pro tips. It gives you like ideal numbers. So for the ID numbers, which is technically the name of that game, it says, hey, it's great for groups between 16 and 30. But we just did it with like 350. So we got that going for us. Here's our next activity. This is another fun way to start your Zoom calls, your synchronous time, your Google Meets, and all the other things. And so you can, you know, flip over your piece of paper if you want. And what we're going to actually do is write this on our Post-it notes first, very deliberately, okay? And we just have a couple this or that's, and I just want you to come down. This is actually another one of those games from Playmeo that I just sort of adapted, but this is a really quick and easy game, and you have to come down on one side of the fence or other. If you don't like either of the things, then you have to choose the one that you like, you dislike the least. I could have said that a different way, but we're going to play this or that. Remember, all these are activities you're doing next week. Okay, so the first one, Coke or Pepsi. Your job is to write this on a Post-it note. We only have 3 examples. You could do 10, but we're going to do 3 because there's a lot of us and we have a short amount of time. Okay, shouldn't need that much time. Coke or Pepsi, it's like the age-old question. Moving on. Cat or dog? Oh, I see some people putting in the chat. Don't jump ahead of anybody. Just write it on your piece of paper. It's okay. I probably didn't give very good directions. Here's another pro tip. For this activity, if you want to do slides like I'm doing it to make it more visual for like, let's say the littles, you just Google dog and cat together and they'll show you pictures of them together, you know? So you only have to download one image. It's like taking a snap, right? Okay, so just a reminder, we're writing this on a Post-it note. Last one, salty or sweet? Super simple protocol, this or that. You have to choose one or the other. You can't choose both, can't come down in the middle. I'm just realizing we have Starfleet represented today in our Zoom call. I wish I could do it. I love it. All right, so here's the next step, everybody. Now we're gonna light up the chat. And the point of this is you can put your name, like Ben colon, and then put your 3 that you chose. And nice job, Christy. You get a prize for being first. And here they all come. So what's fun about this is it's really important. I watched a webinar yesterday about distance learning. We're all doing it, right? And it was just great to hear like the teacher just so articulately say or clearly say the importance of the chat for checking in, whether it's saying, you know, thumbs up, or I'm back from an activity, or +1 is another strategy. Like if you agree with somebody, it's like a way of, depending on if you have all the bells and whistles of Zoom or whether you're using a little bit more simple, you can say like +1. That's a way of saying, I totally agree with you. Also, another thing that a lot of times people do in Zoom chats or in chats while everything's going by is popping in emojis will help separate things out. So that might be a way of like posting resources. Like every time you want to post a resource in the chat, pair it with an emoji so that it stands out from all of the text. Holy cow. Okay, so there's a lot of different messages in there. So now what you can do is you can track back and find your twin, like the person who thinks like you, if you really want to. And so like, let's say with 3, the odds are that you're gonna find somebody that's that likes all the things you like pretty easily. But if you get a little more obscure with your choices and you kind of play with some, you know, different ideas, all of a sudden, you know, you're gonna start separating like Viking fans and Packer fans. And if you provide more options, then all of a sudden it gets more complicated to find that other person. And then if you really wanted to take it to the next level, like in a Zoom call, you could have people that agreed with as the same thing to go into different Zoom rooms together and have extra conversations. And so that's just an example of like the next level. We're not going to model it here necessarily today, but there's a lot of different strategies like this to get things going. So this or that, start making your list right now of like different things that you can do. My wife is a 2nd grade teacher, and I'm just kind of looking around the desk, and there's all sorts of notes about like what she's going to do in future calls. And I'm sure that you have those around there, around you as well. So just keep in mind, start building that little short list of this or that questions. There are a ton of other games that teachers are doing really successfully online, whether it's Pictionary, Scattergories, doing Pear Decks, doing Kahoots or quizzes. These are all other options that you can use that are out there that might give you some ideas about how to do community building, team building, relationship building in the context of a synchronous call. How many of you have been drawing? Give me a +1 in the chat if you've done any drawing with your kids. There's some +1. Art Hub, Shannon's like, I love Art Hub for Kids. All right, well, our family does this occasionally. We used to do this at happy hours, you know, like in a bar, we would do like a family drawing contest and like when we would be traveling or something on spring break. But now that we don't do that, we just go to YouTube and we watch. And so what I thought today is sometimes it's just good to like take a little time out. And I have like a 4-minute video that we're gonna actually watch together, and you're all gonna draw a donut. And so we're gonna just do that and realize that there are a million different things. So if you wanna tap into popular culture and draw Baby Yoda with your students and they're all into Frozen, or you know, you're gonna draw a leprechaun or some spring scene. There's all of these different like tutorials, and you can really pick one based on how much time you have. And it can also just be a excellent differentiator, or not a differentiator, but like an extended assignment. Like, oh, and by the way, here's our agenda for the day. And if you have time, do Art Hub for Kids, and you can let them go do that. Now, the fun thing that you might be able to do afterwards is like, you could use an app like Flipgrid and have like a whole drawing like Flipgrid, where when kids are done, they get to show their art analog, remember? Like, let's work with all the tools that kids love and crayons and markers and keep doing all that stuff. But then there's a way to share it digitally, virtually, asynchronously, or in a class together synchronously. So that's my pitch about that. So we're gonna do a quick draw the donut activity, and I believe the sound should come through just fine, but Katrina's gonna like give me a thumbs down if something isn't working. So what you need for this activity is at least a pencil. Your donut just won't look as cool, but if you want to make your donut look really cool, you can quickly scavenge for some markers. You can also draw the frame of it now, and then you can color it in later during one of your other sessions.
Hey, we hope you have a marker and some paper and you're going to follow along with us. What are we drawing today?
A donut.
Yeah, we're going to draw a really tasty looking donut.
Yes.
You ready to start?
Yeah.
Jack, we're going to draw our donut three-dimensional. So instead of drawing a circle, a perfect circle in our paper, we're going to tip our donut so it looks like it's sitting on the table. So that means we're going to draw an oval shape instead of a circle. And we're going to draw it really big. We're going to fill the whole paper. Watch this. We're going to start in the middle on the top, come around, and then back and connect. Does that look like a big tasty donut?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a blob right now, but
Yeah.
we'll get the donut hole in there. And then we'll look,
You can feel free to
More
show
like
your
a donut.
progress to keep
Yeah.
things
go
interesting.
around and then connect. Perfect. Okay, now we're gonna draw the donut hole right in the middle of our donut. So we're gonna imagine how thick we want our donut, right? So we want it to be pretty thick. And we're gonna draw a smile line right in the middle. Like that. It's gonna look like a bagel at first.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now we're gonna draw the other side of our donut hole. So we're gonna start right here and we're gonna draw a curve that comes this way. Look at that. Doesn't it look like a donut?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, now we need to put frosting on it so it looks more like a donut instead of a bagel. So we're gonna start right here and we're gonna draw a wobbly line. Goes all the way from the left side over to the right side. Squeaky markers.
Yeah.
Now it looks like a donut. Yes. A little more wavy. Yeah. Now it looks like the frosting is just dripping off the sides. Now we're going to draw the frosting on the inside of the donut hole. So we're going to start right here and we're going to do another wobbly line that goes over like that. Doesn't that look like that's now dripping on the inside?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, now what is our donut missing?
Sprinkles.
Sprinkles, yes. So let's draw little rectangles. So we're going to start by drawing an L. Yes, or like a check mark. And then we're going to draw the top. And there's a little rectangle shape. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, now when we draw more sprinkles, we want to change the direction too. We want to mix them up. So we can draw them tip like this and just move them all different directions. Now we're going to fast forward this part, but you guys at home can pause the video at the end to match the same sprinkles if you want, or just use your own creativity and just spread them all over the place. All right, dude, we finished our donuts. They look really tasty,
Yeah.
but they're gonna look even better once we color our donuts, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so ready? On the count of three, let's color our donuts.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Oh, I did strawberry.
I did brown.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
They look really tasty once they're colored.
Yeah.
Now you guys can pause the video to match our same coloring, or you can color your donuts any way you want.
We hope you had a lot of fun drawing your donuts with us.
Yes, we did. We hope you had a lot of fun. I'm sure your drawings look amazing. But don't worry if it doesn't look exactly like ours, because the most important thing is
To have fun.
you had to have fun and to practice. And we'll see you later, our friends. Goodbye.
All right, Art Hub for Kids. There are thousands of videos, I think, there. And what I'd love to do is we're going to do a little art showcase here, a gallery walk. So if you want to hold up your donuts, we can take a spin through some of them. I understand that some of you, oh, nice. How many of you didn't think that you had any artistic talent? Love it. I can't see everybody's everybody, but this is a fun. I understand that some of you didn't come in for breakfast. You came in, you know, rolled right out of bed. Some of you are still in bed watching with your cameras. And again, some of you are coming in and watching this completely separate. And you're not even maybe at donut time of the day, but just remember, here's your breakfast, everybody. Afterwards, you can run out and grab one. If you have used Art Hub for Kids, what I would love, or Art for Kids Hub, or whatever it's called, if you have used it, maybe you can put one of your favorite videos that you've had your students draw, one that worked particularly well or something that was really fun. So if there's a video that you like, make sure you put it in the chat, and then it will give people a starting point if they don't have it. All right, well, our numbers keep growing. So somewhere out there, there's probably 400 new donut drawings that weren't there at the beginning of our experience. And so we keep adding more people to the ranks. So if you're just joining, hello, Minnesota Distance Learning Summit. It's great to see you all. We are doing 5, and I think this is number 3. We're doing 5 different activities. This might be number 4. We're doing 5 different activities you can use next week to build culture, community, and have a little fun with your students to build those relationships. All right. How many of you have done Spot the Difference? If you want to put into the chat like a +1 to say, yeah, I've totally done this already. Or if you're kind of now, like some of you are like, Spot the Difference. When I think of Spot the Difference, I go back to like a hospital waiting room from when I was a kid, when they had those like highlights magazines. Anybody? And so I think it's kind of fun, especially with all the backdrops now that people have. They're getting really creative, whether you're out like pheasant hunting, or you're in a starship cruising across the galaxy, or whether you're sitting in front of a bookshelf. There's all these fun things now when you're looking in the background to just kind of glean information about what's going on in different people's environments. So what we're going to do is play a game called Spot the Difference. And what I'm just going to do is just model this really quick. I'm going to change 5 things about my view. And then what I'm going to have people do is call them out in the chat. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. It might be really fun to like have a Spot the Difference person of the day. So a student could mute, do some changes, give them time to think about what they're going to do. So you could model, and it could just be one of those tools that's in your toolbox to break things up, to kind of take some of the content down a notch and build up the community building that is so important right now. So if you're not familiar with Spot the Difference, here's just like a quick little sample of what we're going for. So let's just practice. This is our practice, everybody. What is a difference between picture 1 and picture 2? Just call them out into the chat. Yeah, good. Fast typers. Do we have Maggie's bow yet? Yep, there it is. See? Smart people, everybody. So we're going to play a Spot the Difference in real life. I was really trying to find like one of those really epic pictures from Highlights magazine, but I just couldn't come up with it. So I thought The Simpsons was a pretty solid next step. Okay, so here's the deal. Take a look around. I'll just bring things down a little bit. Take a look at me, make observations. Take a look. You might have to like surf back to a window to find out what's going on. And now, give me a second. Let me find all my buttons. What I'm gonna do is go mute for like 30 seconds. And then when I come back, whatever you see, you can put it into the chat. Thumbs up, everybody, if you got it. Okay, excellent. All right, everyone ready? Coming back. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to our session today. If Greater Minnesota and beyond, welcome. We're doing 5 fun community building activities right now. We're doing Spot the Difference, whether you're watching on YouTube or other live, welcome. Everything's coming in okay. Oh, shirts button, good. Hopefully I had that done before. The plant did move, my cactus moved, yes. My sunglasses, blue blockers, everybody, I'm bringing them back. Pencil in the ear, nailed it. I saw headphones fly by pretty quick. And I think there might be one other thing. If I move a little bit. Post-it, Alyssa, you nailed it. I got the post-it behind there. Sorry, I didn't quite get that in the view. All right, so that's kind of fun. If you think about the more complicated your backdrop is, it could even be something that you pre-do with your kids to make sure that they are having like, hey, tomorrow when you come, look for the thing that's different. And it could be really a game that you play. Again, what we're trying to do today is building our toolbox that you can use with tricks for community building and things that are easy, low lift. And what I believe is important is like doing a lot of analog type things, because that's where the value is in connecting. Almost everything that we're doing also, I'll make this point, and we're going to kind of transition to this now, is almost everything that we're doing can also be applied to a situation where you might want to, you could use a Flipgrid, for example. So a Spot the Difference could be an assignment that goes out to the students for them to do a before and after video in Flipgrid. It's really easy to hit pause, rearrange things, come back on camera, and they could almost do like, they could do it before and after submitting a prompt or an answer or you know, a topic sentence, like spice things up a little bit, let them kind of do some of that creativity in there. And then people can reply or comment, and the whole thing could happen asynchronously. Excellent. So it looks like we have a little tech support going on in the chat. Feel free to give any pointers if you're struggling to be able to see my screen. I think something else that's just of note here too is days like this are just excellent opportunities to play with all the buttons, like figure out how to get the chat out and figure out what views you like, and a chance to practice with different windows. And so all of those different things are part of what our learning is all about here today. So spot the difference. So I'm gonna just provide this as sort of like an alternate way to roll this out based on the number of people. I just did some quick modifications in my head as we were doing this. But basically, sometimes it's really good when you're giving directions like this to just really lay out the protocol or how you're gonna do this with your kids, and to kind of signpost like how this is gonna work. So take a good look around, mute your camera, change something, unmute. And what we could have done is, like, let's say we changed one thing, or we had a small enough group where you could see everybody. Like, let's say you could say, I spy. And when you type I spy into the chat, then that would be my signal to find the first person who found I spy. I'm going to unmute them and then let them share. And then there's a little bit more of a back and forth and you know, giggles and laughing and funny questions that only kids can ask. And that's what this is all really about. So it's really great to have these clear instructions and then to signpost kind of big points of like how this will actually work. All right, we're going to transition into Flipgrid, and by my estimation, we have about 9 minutes left. And what that is going to allow us to do is to kind of see how we might adapt this. And I'm just going to go through one of the talking points here and kind of share how something that you might do real life, like a game like Would You Rather, and how that can be translated into sort of a digital format so that you can use it synchronously or asynchronously to continue to build that community. If you're not familiar with Flipgrid, this is a video discussion platform, and it's really, its sweet spot is amplifying student voice. And so this is what a grid will look like, or a discussion topic might look like, where all of the people that respond have like a little thumbnail, they have their pictures, they can put in a video response, and basically it's a way for your students to watch and have a discussion asynchronously. So what we're going to do first, look familiar, everybody? What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make an activity live for you so that you can follow the steps. Remember, you can play, pause, or rewind later. So if you scrub ahead in the video to the 8-minute mark that's left, so however many minutes that is, like 37 minutes or whatever. 37 minutes. I just look at the clock. You can scrub ahead and then you can go through this slower if you want. Otherwise, there's lots of great resources online. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make this live. And then what we're going to actually do is give you a chance to participate in my Flipgrid. And then immediately some of you might already be working on your existing Flipgrids to like go find new stuff. So that's kind of our next 3 steps, everybody. So the first thing that we are going to do is I said I was going to do this live. So I'm going to switch over here to Flipgrid. I just opened up a new tab. And what I'm going to do is I have a slightly different window here. Real confident start there, everybody. Basically, I logged in. I don't know why it looked a little bit different, but no big deal. I'm going to give myself a little bit more screen here to work with. Okay. So basically, when you go to Flipgrid for the first time, that's probably the least important thing to show, but basically you have to sign in. I recommend either using a Gmail account or your school G Suite account, or you can use a Microsoft account. But basically, when you go to Flipgrid for the first time, basically what you're going to do is you're going to create a new grid. And so our grid today is going to be called student, or we're just going to call it connections. Connections. And there's a lot of great privacy things here. Sometimes those are the first questions out of people's mouths, like, hey, how secure is this? And so Microsoft, kind of a big player in the field, they got this thing covered. And so what we're going to do for the sake of this one is make it public. But I recommend, if you're doing this for your school to kind of prevent the Zoom bombing and other types of things like that, is you can have it domain specific. We can customize this. So we'll call it MNDL Summit. And it's available, so that's pretty cool. So I'm just going to go next. I'm not going to add a password. We're just going to keep this thing wide open for now. I'll monitor it as we go. So in that amount of time, I actually made a grid, which I think is pretty fun. And now what I can do is go to my grid. Every topic in Flipgrid by default has one topic to start, which is like say hello, but everything's customizable. Man, I can hide that if I don't want that, because I don't want kids posting in there. And this is going to be where I build all of my different discussion topics. So you can see here that now that I've made my grid, excuse me, now that I've made my grid, I have the ability to make a topic. So I'm going to add a topic here. Now, I have lots of different options here, and I could actually create this from scratch. What I'm going to do very deliberately is go back into my connections. And what I want to show you is that we only have so much time in our day, everybody. There's a lot of things going on. And one of my favorite things about Flipgrid is that there's a disco library, otherwise known as Discovery Library. If I go across the very top tabs here, I can go to the disco library, and there's all these really good activities that are in there waiting for you. So they even have categories that you can explore. So like I could go learning from home, and I can look at specific activities that are really good that might fit in. So a couple that stand out. Oh, there's a book talk. Oh man, everyone's reading. Let's do that. 3 emoji book talk. Hey, that's a fun, creative way to do that. This is a really fun question. Would you rather go back in time or travel to the future? But what I would like to do, oh, look, this person's doing weekly check-ins. Hey, we have to do that. Let's try it in Flipgrid. It's already made. this activity right here is would you rather. So Anne's got good stuff. So what I'm gonna do is actually look at this. And then what I can actually do is this is the otherwise known as the Flipgrid Xerox machine. I've added this to my faves, but what I can also do is just very quickly add this to the connections tab. And then I can hit add. Now it Xeroxed it, and I could go in here and customize this. So basically it's like, hey, would you rather? I know a lot of teachers are starting their classes like this, but it could also be moved to an asynchronous format like Flipgrid. But would you rather find a unicorn or be a genie, be a dancer or a singer, be famous artist or an author, eat a donut or a watermelon? All of these could lead to some really funny responses, and you can customize all of this. So like if I wanted to change this and say, don't forget to comment on others, you could do that. What I also love is I'm a huge fan of the 30-second response, because that means you don't have to watch or listen to somebody yammer through a minute. So I'm saying that in a very positive way, but I'm also trying to make you not cry at night. And there's a lot of functions in here that you can customize, whether you want students to be able to edit, to like, to see view count, all those different things. And so all I'm going to do now is hit update that topic. All right. So this is an example of a Flipgrid and how easy it was to create one. I didn't type anything. I just found a good prompt that would have good discussions. And then what I did is I saved it to my grid. Now, if I wanted to share this with all of you, and I don't think I'm going to do that right now, maybe what I'll do afterwards is post this and say contribute. But if I go share, I can beam this to Microsoft Teams. I can post this in my Google Classroom. I can copy the link and put it into the chat and do that. And basically, I wanted to share that, that is available for you. The next thing I'm gonna do here, let me go tab management, everybody, is the next thing I just wanna quickly show you is if I go to my activity, sorry, if I go back to my grids, I'm just going back to my grids. I made that one live because I wanted to show you how simple it was. But if I went to my student check-ins, which is kind of where I created all this stuff for the first time, one of the options that I have in there, sorry, if I go to my advisory, one thing that I did in there is I created the ID numbers community building activity. And I actually added this to the Flipgrid library, to the Disco library. And I don't know if it'll actually be live right now, but you can see that I basically recreated the activity that we just did at the beginning of our session today in Flipgrid. So to go back to my slides, I'm just going to kind of wrap things up here pretty quickly. But what I did to leave some breadcrumbs is I went to the Disco library. I found a post that I really thought was cool, and I added it to my grid. Here's what a thumbnail or a screenshot might look like from my ID numbers. You can see that in Flipgrid, you have a lot of opportunities to like add text and font and even a digital whiteboard or a blackboard that you can actually do problems on. Did you hear that, math teachers? It's awesome. You can even do screen recording now in Flipgrid. So if you wanna play with some of those toys, what I would recommend doing is right up here at the very top beside the Disco library is something called Shorts. And Shorts is a really great way to play with the camera without having to build a whole activity. So that's a little bonus feature for you. But again, what I would do, how I would propose doing the activity that we did at the beginning of the day is to put 3 numbers, have a student share about one of them, and then there's a really cool reply button down here. And what you could do is have other kids reply to the videos and say, I think your 612 is definitely your area code, for example. And the students could try to guess what you're doing in the Flipgrid. And what your significant numbers are. And it's a great way for students in your class to have sort of an asynchronous conversation and build a little community as you go. I want to thank you all for joining this this first session of the day at the Minnesota Distance Learning Summit, whether you're chiming in after the fact. I just know there's a really impressive schedule with lots of different sessions with a lot of really great ideas. And what's really great is this are going to be available for everybody, you know, for, I believe, for the duration to support all of you in this somewhat crazy time. So I'm not, what I'll do is, I don't know if Katrina, if you want to chime in, if there's any questions that came in, or if anyone wants to pop a question in. I think Katrina and I maybe will just go live and she can read a few if we have time for 1 or 2 questions. But other than that, I just want to say thanks everybody and thanks for joining. You have 5 new things in your toolbox, and then all of those can be adapted to Flipgrid. So now that's technically 10 new things that you can do with your kids.
The only question, Ben, was just a little bit more about how Flipgrid works in terms of like what's the student experience, but I think we got there.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's probably at least one session that talks about Flipgrid, so you could do like a little search on the schedule for Flipgrid. Otherwise, they have a really great, a lot of resources right now. Like if you search Flipgrid and remote learning or distance learning, a lot of times all the companies now have pages dedicated to the supporting teachers with their product during this scenario. I'll let somebody else handle the CEUs and those types of questions. And I don't know if Katrina, if you have any inside scoop on our next step, as far as if there's like a little follow-up conversation that's going to happen, or if we're going to move to different rooms.
I'm posting the CEU form in the chat right now, so fill that out and then you should get CEUs sent to you next week. And then there is a lounge following this, and I'll post the, so you can join that. I'll post the link to that in a hot minute in the chat as well. So we'd love to continue the conversation and see you over in that space as well.
Now that I'm done and not focusing on so many things, I'm gonna take a quick spin through and see who's all here. Hi, everybody. You can wave. I'll just cruising through. Oh, now we're getting to the everyone's mics are off or cameras are off. What I will do, this is a great way to end here. I know that there's, as I just scrolled like 8 panels over, it occurs to me that there's quite a bit of expertise in this room as it is. So if you have a favorite activity, put it in the chat right now. So like the people that are still here can glean some of those like little pro tips, whether it's like, I play categories every single day and crush it. That is like something we need to know right now so that we can continue to build it. I gave you 5 and then I lied and said I gave you 10 because I doubled it because I made them all digital as well. But then there's all these other ideas here that we should be able to get a few more ideas that we can get from. Hey Ryan, how's it going? Sorry if you got bumped out of Zoom. So yeah, YouTube Live people, you'll be getting a form follow-up at some point. Oh, Christy, playing Hangman on a Jamboard. Yeah, Jamboard. I actually did a little play date yesterday with Jamboard. There's some really cool things that you can do with that. My favorite activity with a Jamboard is to draw a random line. We called it a scribble. And then you duplicate that slide as many times as you have kids, so panels. So then there's all these like 20 or 50 panels, whatever. And then the kids pick their panel, put a sticky on it to say that's theirs. And then they color in the line and get creative with like how do you make that line into like a picture of a surfer or a mountain or, you know, something else. Cool. All right. Well, it looks like we have a lounge posted, the Google Meet. I'm going to actually hop over there. We can continue to have this discussion about like what types of activities people are doing with their kids. And in the Meet, I could actually model some more of these things. And it looks like, I'm not sure if other people are seeing this, but it looks like, Katrina, I have to copy the Meet and it's not a hyperlink. I don't know if that's like a Zoom thing. I don't use Zoom on a daily basis.
I don't either. It looks like a hyperlink to me, but go ahead and copy and paste it.
Okay, so I want to say thanks to everybody. Jody will pick up the conversation with 8th graders. I taught 8th grade for 10 years. And what we can do is talk about how we might use, what are some other tools that we could do for maybe 15 or so minutes. And then I want to say thanks to the rest of you. And hopefully you have a cooler toolkit now. And I just love the fact that it includes Post-its and paper. And I'm going to post my donut on Twitter with the hashtag for this event. And I would like you to as well, because it's Friday and we're going to celebrate by sharing our donuts. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to unmute, or I'm going to mute, and I'm going to hop over to the other chat if you want to continue to talk. So best of luck to you all, and stay in touch. Connect on Twitter if you want to continue the conversation.
Hey, Ben, great first event. Ben, you're still muted.